Hey everyone, and welcome to another Full of Germs review. I am Germs, and this is Bad Times at the El Royale, the new movie by Drew Goddard, and it is starring Jeff Bridges, Cynthia Erivos, Erivio, Erivo. I'm sorry, Cynthia, I can't get your name right. John Hamm, Chris Helmsworth, Dakota Johnson, and a couple other people, most definitely. And yeah, Drew Goddard, the director, is also known for directing Cabin in the Woods, which I love. And I was really excited for the movie just because of that. But I know he also wrote for Cloverfield, World War Z, and The Martian, which, yeah, I'm kind of like about most of those. But Cabin in the Woods, I love that movie. If you haven't seen it, if you're a horror movie fan, you should. And I'll add that to a future list of horror movies that you should see, because Halloween's coming up at the time of this recording, so definitely that's one of my recommendations, where it's a horror movie comedy, kind of playing on all the tropes of your usual horror movie standard characters. And here he kind of does the same with like a crime thriller, mystery. So what the story is, real quick, is it's a bunch of strangers staying at this motel, the El Royale, and trouble happens. Like, things happen. Strange things are amiss at the, not Circle K, at El Royale. So, yeah, where the motel is also in between California and Nevada, and that might have something to do with it, but it adds to the character of this movie, and I think that's what this movie thrives on, is the character. Like, the setting itself is a character. The characters are something. Like, each one is different, and each one of them has their sides to them. And before anything, I would say also, do not see the trailer. Try to see as less as you can about this movie, or hear about, besides me, I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler free, because I feel like that will help out with the movie, so that you know nothing going in and you will be like, wow. Like, my wife loved it for that. But real quick, with the characters, with the setting, it really sets up the movie. So maybe you can see a couple of images just so you can see, like, all right, if this looks good for you, if the story seems interesting for you, then check it out. But yeah, the cinematography, the settings, the visuals, like the way that he sets up his world, Drew Goddard, is amazing. Like, you can tell that it is someplace real, and you kind of want to stay there, except for the things that happen in said place. So for that, I give him kudos. Like, I felt the same way about Cabin in the Woods and all of its settings, whatever. And yeah, I give him kudos on that. So with the setting, I give that as a plus. I'll give my goods and my bads, but kind of mixed up together, because there's some good and there's a couple of bad, and they all kind of intertwine. So here's the good and the bad. The characters. So the good, there are a bunch of characters that are great in this one. Most notably for me, Jeff Bridges as Father Daniel, and Cynthia Erivos, I think that's how you say her name, as Darlene. And both of their characters, you meet them straight off, like the top of the movie, and they have a charm to them. Like, there's a rapport to them, despite whatever may happen in the movie. But when you meet them off the bat, it's like, it sets a good, like, all right, I kind of like these two. I want to stick with these two. Hopefully they stay good. And John Hamm too, you meet him in the beginning too, and I like his character. He's great, despite him, not being the nicest guy in the world, maybe. But John Hamm is pretty good at playing, a jerk, essentially. So he's good. There's also the caretaker, or the busboy or bellboy, I think. The main person in El Royale, who is played by Louis Pullman. He plays Miles, is his name. And Miles, he's an interesting character. Like, when you first meet him, there's like, something's off about this kid. And yeah, he's a good one. He's a good one. Like, as you see along the movie, there's like, all right, that's Miles. And I can't say anything more about anybody in this movie without spoiling anything. So it's all about going through this adventure, going through this journey, and you meet these characters and you learn more about them. And you see some are still good, some are not so good. So some of the bad, as far as the characters go, I wasn't a fan of Dakota Johnson's character. Maybe it's the way that she was written, maybe it's the way that she acted in it. I know some people were already like, 50 Shades of Grey, that's why, she was terrible. And I don't want to judge her on that. But at this point, like, when I see her name, I'm like, And I was going to give her a chance, and she did pretty good at first, and then her character I wasn't a fan of at the end. Same with Chris Hemsworth, where in the trailer, already right off the bat, he seems like cool. He seems like this, cult character. Like, he almost seems like was Brad Pitt's character from True Romance. Freaking left my head there for a second. He seems like that kind of character, and he's a little more, but he's not all the way there as much as I wanted him to be. So those two I'd say are maybe two of the weakest. But with Jeff Bridges and Cynthia Erivos as their two characters, I really enjoyed them. I feel like Cynthia is going to be the breakout star for what she does in this movie, because I was rooting for her. No matter what she did, I was like, yeah. So I think she's going to be a star. If only I could get her last name right. So the music is great. It goes along with the setting. Like, he knows how to set the mood. He knows how to set everything. So just when you think you're going in one direction, takes you to another. So there's a lot of twists and turns which add to it too. Now that goes with the bad. That's good. But then, like, there's a moment where it's just like, all right, well, we already set up as much as we could. Now things are going to start slowing down. And it's a pretty slow movie, and it's a pretty long movie. So it takes quite a bit to set up. And then once it's all set up, it just takes some time in there. Like, maybe it's due to some of the characters or some of the situations, but it kind of drags a bit for me. It may drag even more for people if they're not into a very slow movie like this can be. It's not going to be like all action, but when the action's there, you'll be like, yeah. So yeah, that second half is just a bit slow. Things pick up at the end, but for some, it may not be enough to want to stick through this. So I give it that. So it starts off unique, but then it becomes your run-of-the-mill thing. But if you're that invested in the beginning of it, then you'll want to see where it goes. And in the end, I was satisfied with my bad time at El Royale. It wasn't a bad time. I can't give it a full recommendation, but if you're into all of the Drew Goddard's work that I mentioned, I feel like that's a no-brainer. If in any of what I said, positive or negative, you're like, you know what, I'm down for this, go check it out for yourself. I recommend it as far as, like, if you want to watch something that's not full-on original, not 90% original, but something that's different. It's a bit different than most of what's out there. I'd say go out and support it, because you want to see more stuff that's different out there than the usual. So if not, then I'd say at least a matinee, and maybe Netflix, but I wouldn't say full-on go out of your way to see it either. So I had to sleep on this just to at least give that, because otherwise I was like, it's good. So I'm halfway in the middle, a little more towards good, if that makes any sense. All right, so that's essentially my review for Bad Times at the El Royale. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. I hope you like all my other videos. If you haven't seen my other videos, go check them out down below. Boop. So like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Whatever you're supposed to do, just support me, please. And I'll try to make even better stuff if it's not good enough. Please, I'm doing my best. So I'm at Full of Germs on all the things, Twitter, yada, all that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. See you later.